Hey guys, welcome to the Seasonal Movement Podcast. I'm your host, Ruben, rocking the blue light blocking glasses today. And on the other side, we have Daniel Jackson, a spiritual medium. He is the author of the book, The New Beginning and My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. And his deep purpose is to help people understand why we are here and what is our purpose. Also learning to listen, trust, and follow through. I had a very interesting conversation with Daniel about 7 days ago, and I do believe that there is a lot to be learned. I hope that you keep an open mind. I hope that we get some insights, some very valuable insights from the purpose that Daniel has, which is very unique, and I'm extremely excited for today's podcast. So thank you so much for watching. Let me start by asking Daniel, how are you doing and how hot is Arizona / Mexico, right on the border? Like how hot it is there right now?
It's very hot. It's been in the 90s. There is no humidity here, as you know, because we've talked and you've been here. But we are in something that's called monsoon season right now. It's raining a lot. It's been raining the past couple of days. We actually have a big tree-like bush out in front of our house called an ocotillo plant, where it's long branches and they have little spikes all over it. And we got a real bad dust storm that came across Arizona.
Yeah.
It blew our ocotillo tree down. It's only like a
Ooh.
couple of branches now, so we have to get it removed. But yeah, it's been raining a lot. So I haven't been out of the house much. It's just been raining.
Yeah, I played summer league baseball in Phoenix once, and I've been spending a lot of time in Phoenix over my years, and I present two of those ball dust storms, and oh
Yeah.
boy, like they are interesting. I would say that just to prove that seasonality plays such a big role, you just started with this is monsoon season. We often don't put that together. So depending where you are, your region makes such a big impact on your
Yes.
environment. And well, I guess that I like to look at the environment as the outside world, but I
Yeah.
also like to think there's not really that much of a disconnection between the inner and the outer. Only the perception that we have that separates that. There's a lot of philosophy that backs this out. And I would like to start our episode with a very interesting hook, perhaps is a way to put it, because as we were talking 7 days ago, you mentioned that the soul doesn't need seasons.
No.
But the body does. What I
Yes.
find interesting is the need, It's not that it wants it, it's that it needs it. Can you go a little deeper on that?
The reason that it needs it is because it needs to learn. The soul is here to learn things, and the only way that it can do that in this physical world is be in that physical body and what's going to take place with that body. It's not just about walking around and going to a store every day or hanging out with your friends or going to bars or anything like that. It's about your environment itself and how the effects of the body, how the effects on that body are going to direct the soul on where the soul wants to go and where the soul feels the body that needs to be. So, here in Arizona, we get winter, but we don't get the extreme winter I used to get back in Delaware. But it still does affect me because once you become acclimated to the weather out here, it does change you. Back in Delaware, it would be, in the wintertime, it'd be below 10 degrees sometimes, and it would be freezing cold. And I have a hard time with freezing cold. It really does. I have diabetes, and it affects that in a really bad way. Sometimes I get these really bad cold shivers where my body won't stop shivering, and it'll tense up, and I become sick and ill from that. I still get that here in Arizona, even though we don't get the extreme weather, but I've acclimated myself to this weather now. And when it gets down to about even 40 or 50 degrees here, it affects me, and then I have to steer clear from that. And I just had those shivers maybe about 3 weeks ago because I got
So
cold.
I do No, we're gonna go deep into the separation between the mind and the soul and how
Yes,
the seasons can direct us in that. We're gonna go very deep, but since you start talking about the winter, I'm gonna bring that in to go a little deeper in that first, which
sure.
is that what about the idea that the winter blues, the burn out that we sometimes experience when we are like, it's so hot and we have so much going on.
Yeah.
How about the anxiety that sometimes we feel, that I have come to notice that there is cyclicality to it, whether it's a weekly cyclicality, a seasonal cyclicality, or even a yearly cyclicality. But my point here is, what if they are not random but a divine signal to realign? I really want to ask you that question, because like essentially when we're talking about the winter blue, it's like the negative effect of the winter, right? How come can we see that as a spiritual sign, as an opportunity to align? Have you considered those links that exist
Oh,
from what we consider the natural world and the spiritual world?
sure. Every day that you wake up and you walk out into the world, you're walking into the unknown every single day. We might make plans to be able to do things in our lives. We may make plans to go on vacation or be with our family or be with our friends, but there's no absolutely any guarantee that that's going to take place. You just have to you're going to have to navigate through your day. You're going to have to take the time to try to get where you're going to get, but there's also going to be obstacles along the way, and it's up to you with your soul that's trying to guide you. It's trying to guide you through those obstacles, but you have to learn to, we were talking about, learn to listen, trust, and follow through to your soul and what it's telling you to do so that you can get through those obstacles the best way that you can. And that takes a lot of effort to do because, quite frankly, people are just spiritually gullible. They think if they read it in a book, or if I go get some crystals, or if I go get some sacred geometry tattoos and I put them all over me and I burn some sage and cedar and all that stuff, that's going to take care of my problems. But that's absolutely not the truth. Those are just illusionary tools. They can help you along the way, but you have to go in and do the dirty work yourself of learning to listen, trust, and follow through with what your soul is trying to guide you to do. And if you're not willing to do that, the things that you really want to do aren't going to happen as much because you're not listening to them. You're not trusting where the information is coming from, and you're not following through with the information. You're just going with what your ego is telling you to do, or maybe your friends and family are just telling you to do, but they don't really know you. They don't know you as well as your soul does. So going out in the world and again, winter here is different from winter in Delaware, but I still have to take precautions of to get through my day. I still have to be prepared to go out into the world and know that I'm going to do the best job that I can to get through it. But I'm going to do that by learning to listen to my soul because it's going to help me more than anything else will.
So I think there is a little bit of a intuitive confusion that I get right now that I would like to go deep, because I know that this is setting you up to be able to explain it at a deeper level, which is
Sure.
that you just mentioned that your soul is guiding you.
Yes.
But prior to that, on the previous response, you mentioned that your body is the one experiencing. So
Correct.
I would like to understand the order in which we are either leaving or we're meant to leave. To be soul led, but also paying attention to your body, how it reacts to the signals in the
Yes.
environment. I would like to go deep in there because I think that is very important to be able
Sure.
to live a life of alignment.
Sure. Sure, absolutely. Well, you're going to be listening to the soul to guide you to where you need to be because, in that sense, my again, I have these issues where I will get extremely cold. Now, one of those issues is I've had a back surgery years ago, and I have four screws inside my back. When those screws get cold, when my back gets cold, I get cold. My soul is going to guide me in a way when I listen, trust, and follow through that I won't I'll be prepared for that. I will have the correct clothing that I need to wear. I'll be in the correct places that I need to be in order so that those situations don't happen to me. And so that's where it comes in where you're listening, trusting, and follow through. When you get this information that gives you, then you gotta trust where it comes through and then follow through with it. So if my I will literally with me, I'll go to my closet and I will say, okay, should I wear this shirt today? And then I will hold that shirt in my hand, and if I feel good about it, if I feel good inside and it's telling me, okay, this is a good thing to wear, that's the one that I will put on. Is this the type of shoes I should wear today? I have a couple different kinds of shoes. Should I wear this one? Same thing. These types of pants, same thing. Uh, I ride motorcycles. Should I ride my motorcycle today? No. Okay. Should I take my car? Yes. I follow through with all the information that it is giving me. But the reason I'm able to get those answers is because I have taken the time in order to find out those answers. Um, that's a process.
So the I hear different words. For example, becoming aware is that who we are, or like
Yes.
the awareness of the thinking and the feeling, is that the soul? Meaning, I'm just trying to link the words together
Yes.
because you cannot hear them in different words, but
Sure.
I think they mean the same, right?
Yeah, because people get messages a lot, but they don't always pay attention to them in the way of thinking that the soul is telling them anything. Sometimes they get a feeling, but those feelings are strong enough, well, they will react to it. Like if you're about to walk up to a building and you're going to meet some friends, and just before you're about to walk in, you get a feeling inside of you that tells you, "I don't feel right about this," and they say it out loud, "I don't feel right about this." That is your soul telling you not to go into that building. That is your soul telling you not to have that interaction with not just those people, but the people who are also all the other surrounding people that are going to be in that place that you're going to. It's trying to guide you to keep you from getting into things, or it's trying to guide you to go places that you're just meant to be, for interactions that you're meant to have. But learning to listen, trust, and follow through, learning to listen to that and actually do what it's telling you to do. You you get that message and you just feel like, man, I don't know. I don't something is telling me. Every time they say that, something is telling me that is their soul is telling them to something to do or to not do. But they have to
So
learn to trust it.
I wanna decompose it at at a micro level because my understanding is that everything starts in the environment. So your body is experiencing a signal in the environment,
Absolutely.
and then it generates a feeling that comes from a memory. So here's what I want to decompose things a little bit, because when we feel that, I think that before reacting to it, we have to understand that that's not your soul, that's your body. That is a response that you're having subconsciously from the environment. So
Correct.
what I want to do is, like, when we're talking about trusting, following through, and committing, that is important. I feel like, to understand that that feeling is not what you're committing to. You're committed to what comes after. Meaning, after
Correct.
that feeling is when you stop, you breathe, you think, you ask questions, like you go through your
Yes.
process to ensure that it's not the feeling you're following but your purpose.
Yes.
And that purpose, it might look like in a micro level, like going to a place or not. In the macro level, maybe, your main goal in life, your main purpose. But I want to break that through because it can be a little confusing. Like, if
Yeah.
we're just feeling something and we think that's our intuition, then we're just literally following on our body instead of following our soul.
Yeah, well, you are doing both at the same time because they are connected at the same time. So, and the memories that you are getting some of those experiences from aren't absolutely memories that you've had this lifetime around. As we know, a lot of us know, maybe a lot of us don't, that we have all been here many times. They call it reincarnation, whatever you want to call it. You're just coming back again because the main reason is you haven't fulfilled your purpose yet, and that's why we come back again. But some of those memories that you have are things that you have picked up from other lifetimes that are now going to affect you in this lifetime as well. I did a show one time with someone, one time, and she asked me about a past life and had she ever passed away before at a younger age, and I said, yeah. I said there was a time when she was out on a lake in a boat and she fell out of the boat. She was 7 years old and she had drowned. When I said that to her, she immediately said to me, "Get out of here." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You have an affinity for water?" She says, "Whenever I go into water, she always has to have her feet planted on the ground because she won't float, because she's afraid when she floats, she feels as though she's going to drown." So that's the type of feelings that I'm talking about, that we're talking about, that you will get. You may not get it again, it may not have come from this lifetime, but it came from a previous lifetime. But it is a warning system for you to know, okay, now I'm going out in this type of weather. Now I'm going out in this season, out throughout my day. And I get a feeling like I shouldn't go here, or I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't do that, or I should do this and I should do that. But again, it's learning to trust those feelings that you're getting, and then learning to follow through with the information. Again, so it's gonna get you to the other side of where you are meant to be, and meant to be in a safe manner, so that you can get to those places of what we talked about, fulfilling your purpose. But learning to listen to every little thing, because our body reacts in many, many different ways, from many, many different elements within our lives. And we have to learn to to pick up on those types of things, and know that it means something. It's not just, if you get a chill, everybody gets a chill every now and then, but maybe, like I know with my condition, that that chill can be detrimental to me. And I have to make sure that I can do everything that's possible to not get that chill, so I can get where I need to be, because if I don't pay attention to it and I'm meant to be somewhere very important that day and I can't get there because I just got sick from not paying attention to how I need to dress myself and how I need to be able to prepare myself to get where I need to be throughout my day, then I'm not going to be where I'm meant to be in order to have an effect on those who are around me and everyone else, and especially get me to be where I need to be to help everyone that I try to help every day, because I have to be right with myself, and being right with myself is knowing that I'm able to take care of myself to be in those places that I need to be. Now that, again, that's not just all about me, it's about everyone. It's about paying attention, and we have a hard time paying attention in this world because we do have so many distractions in this world. And we listen to them more than we listen to ourselves, and that's why some of us just get into situations that we do. But yeah, it's listening to the soul and doing what it's trying to tell you to do is a very deep thing. It's not an easy thing, because we've been brought up in this world to not listen, trust, and follow through to anything but what society is telling us to do, what sports and entertainment and politics and all this other stuff. We involve ourselves in all these things are not important in this world, because, I mean, the true value in this world, without all that other stuff, without us paying attention to all that stuff, what's that mean? That the true value in this world is us, ourselves. So we have to make better choices within our lives to get ourselves to where we need to be, to for our lives to function, so that we can be there to help others function as well, to do this all together. But yeah, it's a lot. It's not easy to do. It's about separating yourself from all the garbage out there and truly getting back to where the true answers lie that we really need, which come from within, which come from the soul, and learning to listen, trust, and follow through with what it's telling us to do, so that we can move forward in the best versions of us that we can be.
Absolutely love that answer. There's multiple things that came up as you're talking, and I just want to highlight two of them.
They always
Which
do.
one of them one of them is early on. When you're talking about reincarnation, I haven't really looked that much into it. I already told you that, but I completely respect it, and I know at one given point I will look more into it. As far as my faith, I'm a Christian, but I'm also a big believer in being open and being and learning from everybody, and just
Sure.
just being open. So what I do want to bring with that is just going back to that moment. I have done studies on evolutionary memories, not perhaps in reincarnation, but a lot of my studies have come from how our brain is the way it is now,
Yeah.
where it's coming from, how our seasons today are so different than 20,000 years ago, but our
Sure.
brain is the exact same one. So what I want to highlight from a evolutionary perspective is that we are safe, we are a new creation, we have the spirit within us, we have souls, but our brain is a very old mechanism. It's extremely advanced, but some of those memories are survival instincts. There's
Correct.
nothing wrong about that, but where we are in today's society technologically, and thanks to the advancements we have experienced over the last 200 years, which have been exponential, you can even compress it down to the last 70 years
Yeah.
and continue in that path, just to even say the last 10 years, the last 5 years. Like, it's just an exponential growth. And this brings us back to the separation between a feeling and your actual soul, like your inner awareness, your, being aware and being present with what you're feeling. Because a lot of those feelings come from those instincts that help us survive. But the difference is that today we want to thrive. If we are to achieve our purpose, if we are to bring value to this world, we have to go into the uncomfortable situation of growing, of doing something that we haven't done before.
Learning.
And guess what? Your brain is going to be anxious, is going to be releasing stress, cortisol, and it's going to try to guide you in the other way, which is to survive, but it's not to thrive.
Yeah, we
So
do a good job of testing ourselves. We do a good job of pushing ourselves to the limit.
by we, can we just collaborate, because you're just such a deep thinker that I really want to get the full
Sorry.
answer. Yeah, no, 100%. It's like, are you talking me and you, or are you talking, like, when you're saying we, I just
People in
want to.
general.
Okay,
People
people
in
in general.
general are
Okay.
yeah, that people in general are always pushing themselves to a limit. They're always trying to see what they can get out of this. And as much as they can. And some of it is just because they're thrill seeking, and some of it is because how are we going to figure things out unless we go out and try to do them? We have to learn how do we get to those points of be able to have this kind of technologies that can make our lives better. We have to push ourselves to the limits.
So when it comes down to differentiating the soul and the deep awareness of the body's instincts, memories that are stored within your life, within the past life, within evolutionary moments, within humanity, like there's a big importance in understanding those two.
Sure.
And I think that really is where your purpose starts to show up, when you go in that uncomfortable situation, in that, perhaps taking an approach that nobody has taken, being bold, pursuing your
Absolutely.
dreams and purpose.
Yeah.
And, I would like to, for you to go deep in that, because that is what your main purpose in life is, to help people become aware
Yes.
and
Yes.
trust and follow their purpose. So I want to go in that direction.
Sure. So our purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should, in a way where you're going to do something for someone they cannot physically do for themselves, or you're helping them to figure it out. And sometimes the way that that's going to happen is not absolutely going to be comfortable for you because we have been taught, you wake up in a baby body in this world, you're going, what? And your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. You're going, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay. And then they raise you in this world, and then they teach you the ways of the world. But what they teach you is they teach you how to have pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, fear. They teach you all these things that these feelings do help us get through our world, but they always prevent us from getting through other places in our world. I mean, just imagine all the people you might have met or the places you might have gone without having any fear in your life. Maybe you wanted to ask someone out on a date, but you didn't do it because you felt the fear of maybe they're going to turn you down. Well, if they're gonna turn you down, don't worry about it. There's 7.5 billion of us. You'll find another one. It's pretty simple. But, uh, but yeah, we go into this world with this pain, this anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, and then a lot of that stuff, it does help us, but it also prevents us from doing things. And it prevents us from putting ourselves in situations because the world seems like they wanna segregate us from ourselves. They wanna segregate us, each and every one of us, from ourselves to keep us from having an interaction with ourselves. They want us to be angry at each other all the time. They want us to hate each other all the time. They don't want us to be kind to each other as we should be doing. And fulfilling your purpose is doing an act of kindness that maybe it may be for a person, maybe for a dog or a cat. It may be one of those situations where you're driving down the street in a car and you see a dog in the middle of the street and you just react in a way where you say, "Okay, I gotta get that dog out of the road. I gotta do something. Let me go get it." Now, if you go upon that, some of those things that you've been taught throughout your life, like fear, you may see that dog in the middle of the road, but then what you're gonna do is look at those cars and think, "If I get out of my car, I'm gonna get hit by a car." Well, maybe you will, but maybe you won't. And you have to decide what's that feeling inside of you that you think is the best thing for you to do. Some people will get out of that car and go help the dog. Maybe they'll help the dog find its owner or take it to a vet if it needs to do that. Maybe it will do that. And maybe they won't. Some people will just say, I don't have time for that dog today. I'm late for work. Well, if you're late for work, get up earlier. It makes a lot more sense to do that. But yeah, that's how we're supposed to fulfill our purpose. But fulfilling the purpose again is hard for us to do because we feel a need to more or less not interact with each other than we do to actually do that. Now, I'm not saying that is for everyone, but that is a majority of the people in this world. How do I know that? I go to stores. I go to a big box store to get some groceries, and I walk through that place, and you see people walking through, and they start doing this. They start dodging back and forth because they see the person that's in front of them coming their way. They're trying to figure out a way to get around that person without making any contact. We spend more energy and more time trying to avoid each other than we do trying to actually make contact. When I see that person and they come in front of me, I step right in front of them and I say, "Oh, hello, how are you?" "Oh, I'm good, how are you?" And then I make a conversation with them because I may have just changed their life. I may have just changed their moment of that day. Maybe they're going through something. I mean, I'd like to say maybe, but I think everyone's going through something in their lives that they're having some difficulty with. I as well, and then, but I can answer some spirit to help myself with this. But not everybody has that ability that I have. But you can make interaction with each other. We can help each other a lot more than we do now. But you got to want to do it. You gotta wanna take the
Now,
time to do it.
I'm gonna avoid escaping from the energy leading me to ask you a question. Like
You
what
bet.
you are just preaching on. Sometimes we're curious and we just want to know. And I know who I have in front of me. I know of your supernatural powers and I believe it. So my question, it is related to the season. So I'm just gonna be honest. That's what I have the most curiosity about.
You
And
bet, I'm
then
ready.
I have somebody in front of me that has the power to look back. So my question is, how much free will do we have when it comes down to the way that we react to the seasons? Let me ask that even a little deeper
You
because
bet.
I mean I think immediately you will say we have a ton of free will, but let me go back
No,
deeper because the way that
I
okay the
I
way
won't
that
I won't
okay
s I won't say that. I'll say something different.
okay
Go ahead.
the reason that I'm asking this is again through evolutionary
Yeah.
memories. I have felt it. So, I feel like being a medium is just being in connection, but I
Yeah,
perceive myself more of a very sensitive person when it comes to the
sure,
environment just because I have studied in it so much. And I
sure.
can see, it's not that I see like a flashback, but I can feel it. And the way that I describe that is by a hormonal response to the environment. I feel the cortisol rising,
Well,
and it's
it's
like a
not just that.
flashback.
Sure.
So
I
the question becomes like, how much of our past really dictates the way that we have relationship with seasons right now, the way that we react, and I'm thinking like seasonal affective disorder, like feeling a little down, feeling stressed out,
Sure.
feeling excited, like how much of that we have control over.
We have a certain amount of control over it, but not as much as we would like to think, but for the bigger reason that free will isn't free. Free will comes at a price. There's a cost to free will. You can you're every action or reaction is going to have another action or a reaction to it. It's kind of mathematical to a point where you're trying to make the best decisions for you, but you have to take into consideration it's not life isn't just about you. Life is about us, but it's not just about us. It's about us helping other people. So it's a wider range of where our actions and our reactions take us. And we don't always take that into consideration. Sometimes we just do thing on a knee jerk reaction and just do it, and then boom, then something horrible happens or something great happens, and then we change our perspective as well from that point there on. But the free will itself, we do have free will, but sometimes we use free will too much about ourselves and not about anyone else. We sometimes use the free will in an egotistical way. And we think, again, we think life is all about me, 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 and I got to take 1,000 selfies and post them on Facebook and do all this stuff when I could be doing better things in this world. So the free will aspect of it is yes, we all have it. And just as a note, in a spiritual sense, no one's going to get punished for that. Why would God punish you for something He gave you Himself? So let that go. And as I know, God gave me my worth. People don't. So if they're going to go against my worth and what my value is, they're actually going against God. I don't think that's a good bet. But anyway, but yeah, we have free will, but there comes a point that you have to make better choices in order to use that free will, so that you can again listen, trust, and follow through, so you can get where you need to be. But within the seasons of that, yes, we've learned so much from all our prior times. Now, again, I have this condition that causes me to get those shivers and shakes and stuff like that. I didn't have this condition when I was a child. When it was wintertime or summertime or fall or spring, I acted differently. I did things differently. I reacted differently to everything around me. And I've learned many things by going through those processes even when I was young, but only some of those processes carry through into what I'm doing now because I'm not a 7-year-old boy anymore. I don't think like a 7-year-old boy, nor do I make decisions, or nor do I do the same reactions as I did when I'm a 7-year-old boy. I'm a 58-year-old man now. I have different responsibilities in my life, and I have different ways of going about my life in my life now than I did when I was 7. Because when I was 7, I was much more carefree than I am now. I have to make conscious decisions in order for me to get through my day every single day, as everyone does. It's not just about waking up and taking a shower and eating some breakfast and going to your job. There's many more consequences that come into play by the decisions that you make, and they're different now that we're older. But again, we have learned enough, not just from this lifetime here, but our many other lifetimes as well, and that comes all into play. It's a much bigger picture than people really know, but sometimes it's a much bigger picture than people can really understand. Again, it comes down to that point of trying to learn about that understanding and where that understanding came from. We can look in all the history books for as far back as they go. They can't really tell you too much about too far back because they weren't there. They only have stories by other people. And these stories aren't always correct because people like to embellish stories. I mean, if I told you a story about you, from 20 years ago, and then you tell it 20 years later, are you going to get every aspect of that story right? Probably not. It's probably going to be embellished quite some bit. Our lives become embellished because we choose to embellish them in ways that we want to be presented to other people. And not only to other people, but we actually convince ourselves of it at the same time. So these things, these perspectives, these these learned experiences, they have all changed throughout time. But we do have a basic set of rules of what we are trying to follow. All of us trying to follow to make our lives a better way. But again, those rules were created by people. Your soul is a person, but it's not. It's a different type of energy. It's a different bright, white, loving energy that likes to do good things and wants to do good things. But the body always doesn't want to do that because the body, again, has that brain that it listens to from all those past experiences that we've had and the relationships that we had, and we make a lot of decisions based on that. And those decisions that we've made aren't always best for us because we're all not exactly good learners. We have that those basic roots of everything, but we all seem to send that we need to go in different directions all the time. And then, like we were talking about before, push ourselves to the limit. Sometimes those limits don't work. Sometimes we push ourselves a little too far, and then we have bigger issues than that. I mean, how many times do you have to race around a track in a race car before you find out that people crash in those race cars and they die? What kind of point is that making? I don't see a point in that. Uh, so, uh, but uh, but we could do better in this world. But again, in every season, in every fall, winter, summer, spring, there are always going to be challenges within those times of the year, within those seasons of the year. But every challenge that we have out there, just like when you take medicine, you can have 10 people take the same medicine, and then one of them has an adverse reaction. So it's not going to everything that's out there is sort of in a set group now that we've learned from history, but it doesn't work for everybody. And all of us have to take precautions for ourselves, but sometimes we have to change those rules because again, they worked for 9 other people, but they didn't work for me. So this is where free will comes in. And free will is me trying to figure out, you know what? Okay, it worked for these 9 people, but I'm trying to do the same thing. And as we have that same quote that keeps coming over, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, I've tried it 3 or 4 times and it doesn't work. I have to figure out what's going to work for me. As I always tell everyone, because I don't want the world to believe in this. I don't want you to believe that the world can tell you that you're making mistakes or you're a failure or there's you're doing everything right or you're doing everything wrong. There is no right and wrong or failures or mistakes. There's only what works and what doesn't work. And if it's not working for you, well, then try something else. And you're going to try something else with your free will. But I'm hoping that you'll try that other thing first that your soul was trying to tell you to do.
I want to ask a question about how can we have free will if the ego, is the one making the decision. I think that it is
Stop
worth
listening to your ego.
decomposing. Yeah, I think it's decomposing what the ego is,
Yeah,
so that we can see the difference. Because in many times in my life, I think that I have a choice,
you do.
but I,
Absolutely.
no, I do, but sometimes I'm thinking I'm taking the choice, and then I realize it wasn't really my awareness; it was my ego, like
Yeah.
convincing me that that was the best thing for my ego. So, can we decompose that?
Yeah,
How the
sure.
ego can become the actual blockage to somebody's purpose? Like it truly is. Like if the ego is in, and the ego morphs, the ego changes
Yeah.
based on the environment, based on the season. So I think it's worthy to look into it as it can be a blockage for somebody's purpose.
The ego is something that is out of survival. The ego is something that's going to drive you because you've learned it from someone else, because it's going to give you uh, some type of power and control in your life. Whereas with free will or listening to your soul, you're going to do things out of the reason of just because it's easy to do and it's easy to take the time to do that. Whereas you're going to look at more of the ego is just going to be all about you and nothing but you. But doing it for the reason of just because is you doing it for everyone else and not just yourself. You're going to look at doing it for everyone else before you're going to look at doing it for yourself. But
Hmm.
doing it for yourself also is very important because without you being part of the equation, you wouldn't be able to do what you want to do for everyone else in the world. But the ego is going to be more driven towards uh, helping you to be the best version of you only for you because you want everyone else to look at you a certain way. You want everyone to be able to perceive you a certain way. The best people in this world who go out and help people don't stand in front of a camera all day. They don't stand in front of a crowd of people with a bunch of cameras around going, look how wonderful I am. Look how good I'm feeding all these people. And it's me, Daniel Jackson, that's feeding all these people. And I'm doing this. No. The people who are going to do the most in this world, you're not really going to hear from because they don't need to be pat on the back for it. They don't need to stand up and take accolades for anything. They do it for the reason of just because. Those people have less of an ego than anyone else. And that's what I'm trying to teach people, to learn to let go of all this bullcrap that's out in the world that you have to be standing up on some social media site. Now, yes, I do go on social media sites. I go on social media sites to spread my word that I do, to promote my show or other shows like yours that I have been on, as well, to do one thing, to get that message out, to wake people up so that they can understand that we don't need to listen to all the crap that's out in this world, and we can get back to what we were supposed to do back like what Jesus was doing, and he was trying to tell us that we could all live together as free men and women and free people in this world, and we could share everything in the world because there's enough of everything in the world to share. We could take care of each other without the feeling of having to be under power and control of anyone else. But, the people who were in power and control didn't like what he was doing, and they took him off the streets and put him on a cross and tortured and murdered him in front of everybody to make an example out of him, to let him know that we can't have this guy out there, so we got to get him off the streets. We don't have to live under that type of power and control, but we allow ourselves to do it. I mean, those people who are out there in the governments and all these big corporations and all this stuff, and or even famous people out there in television and movies. I mean, the only reason they're famous is because we make them famous. We allow it to happen. We need to stop allowing it. We need to learn to take the power back, and the power is us learning that we can actually take care of ourselves without being under control of everyone else who say they take care of us, but they don't actually do it. We can do this ourselves, but that's gonna take a long time. We have to learn to separate ourselves from that stuff, and again, we have to stop letting them segregate ourselves from ourselves in this world and get back to the true value in this world, which is us, because, I mean, what we base our value in this world, unfortunately, is on rocks and paper. You've heard of it. It's called gold and dollar bills. But without those gold and dollar bills being in our hands, where's the true value in this world? The true value is us. That's what we need to get back to know that we are what matters in this world. We are what counts. And the only way that we are going to get this straight in this world is if we do this together, because we have always all been in this together. We have to get back to that. We have to get away from, because we allow those people to have control over us. They say one day you should eat bacon, and they say the next day, you've heard of they, to not eat bacon. Well, what they need to do is they need to shut the hell up. But we need to do is we need to stop listening. We need to
You
start
know,
getting
I
back in
uh,
touch with ourselves.
I just keep thinking on the fact that everything starts with a question, a healthy question, which is, wait a minute, what am I feeling? Or wait a minute, what are they telling me to do? Or wait a minute, does
Sure.
that really work that way? And the list goes on and on. It all starts with a healthy questioning
Yeah.
of whatever is in our subconscious, whatever it is in our programming or beliefs, and just literally just question it and say, okay, I can see how that can work, but is there another way?
Yeah.
And that is when I was going through my seasonal affective disorder, my kind of like rough adaptation to the weather in the Midwest with the four seasons. And for the first time in my life, I was experiencing those changes, those dramatic changes in
Yeah.
the lighting, the social dynamics. And it took me about 5 years to kind of start seeing the pattern and starting to kind of like figure it out slowly.
Sure.
I am just very thankful of seasonal affective disorder, and I quote it because it is a way to identify,
Yeah.
which it gives you a positive, but at the same time, so many people use it as a crutch. So whatever you name, you negate of other sort of meaning. And
Yes.
what that allowed me to do was to, okay, if this is the issue, now let me look around and see what is creating the issue. So it
Right.
truly opened my eyes of the value of the environment. And what I realized was that I'm not the only one. that
No,
feels this way. Like this is a universal feeling that we all experience at a certain degree. And what
absolutely.
I still have the question inside of me is, which is my purpose, which is the reason that I'm in the camera, the reason that we're here today,
Yeah,
is to spread the message, which is, have you ever questioned how your relationship works with the environment? You know, like have you ever questioned and stop and think, like, is there a separation, or is the outside environment a reflection of what's going on the inside? Or can the outside environment guide me as well in my pursuit of my inside purpose? And are they separate to begin with? Like, there's a lot of questions that come from it that helped me develop the seasonal movement, which is my, I believe is my purpose, to
sure.
enlighten humanity, to bring awareness, not just about the problem that we're facing today, which is complete disconnection to
Yes,
our environment. And it's not just
absolutely.
disconnection, because we are connected. It's just unawareness
Yeah,
of that connection. It's
yes,
complete unawareness of that. And kind of bring us back to somehow realize, there is value here. There's value in the inside world. There's also value on the outside world. They kind of go together. There's no separation. So the
yeah,
question becomes questioning, like just to allow people to question, to bring the problem and at the same time present a solution. I think that when you're talking about purpose, that has to be part of the conversation, because anytime somebody comes with something new, it's because they question if the old one work or not. But when we are
correct.
completely unaware and we are eyes closed, we're just showing up every day and, thinking 95% of the same thoughts that we had the day before and doing the exact same thing. And thanks to the environment that changes,
Yes,
we actually change slightly. If the environment was always the same, that 90% thinking will have been the exact 90%, like 100% thinking than the
right,
day before, because there
right.
is no questioning, there's no change on the environment.
No
So,
learning.
yeah, exactly. So you bring that up earlier, that there is learning on those seasonal changes, on that environment
Absolutely,
changing. And
absolutely.
when it comes to learning and it comes to purpose, I think it all starts with the question, like just healthy questioning of, the system is telling me to do this, but is this the only way of doing things, or there are
Right.
other ways of doing it?
Right, like having a monk sitting on top of a mountain and he's, going out to the people. He lives on a mountain. He's telling you how to live your life the way he thinks that you should live it. But this guy lives on a mountain. He doesn't live down here in the real world where I live, and he's not going to see the things that I see, nor is he going to be able to perceive the world the way that I see it, because he doesn't see that. He only lives in solitude on top of a mountain. What is that going to help me? It's not gonna help me. I don't need to listen to that guy. I need to listen to those who are around me and the situation that is around me, as well as, the seasons that are around me and how it's going to affect me. He's living up on the top of a mountain where it's always cold all the time, where down below at the bottom of the mountain where I live, it's hot. And it just as a perspective of that, I actually, go outside of my front door, and off to the left-hand side are these mountains. They're called the Huachuca Mountains. In the wintertime, it snows on the mountains. The strange part to watch it is, though, it covers the entire mountain until it gets to the ground, and on the ground, nothing. There's no snow there. It doesn't make it to the ground because those mountains are high up. I'm at 4,500 feet elevation where I live, but those mountains are actually a mile up. That's how high it goes up. It gets covered in snow, but we don't get snow down on the ground very often because it just doesn't make it here because it's too warm down below, as opposed to where the mountains are. So same thing with the man on the mountain. He doesn't experience the same type of seasons as I do if he's sitting on top of that mountain all day long. He doesn't go through what we were talking about, the having the wintertime blues, or even here having summertime blues, because in the summertime it's extremely hot here. You have to
Hmm.
learn to navigate through that. You have to be prepared. Whenever I go out into the real world here, or what we perceive as the real world, I see people walking around. Everybody's got a bottle of water. Everybody's got a backpack on them. Everybody is taking care of themselves, because the one thing you don't want to do while you're here in Arizona is sweat. Because when you start sweating, you have issues because you're going to start to go downhill. Again, it's a very low humidity place, but that sun beats down on you here. It is heavy. You feel it on you. When I'm walking around, I feel it, the pressure of it coming down on my back, coming down on my head. It's a big thing here that you see a lot of people wearing a hat around here, or even long sleeves. You think, why would you wear long sleeves or a hat in the summertime? Because you need that protection from the sun because it really does beat you down here, and that will change your free will, your decisions that you're making throughout your day, because if I know it's gonna be extremely hot out there, I mean, I gotta prepare myself for that. I don't like to wear the long sleeves because I get overheated from it, so what do? I put sunblock on. I put so much sunblock, it looks like I'm turning into a clown, because I got so much on me. I gotta white up on me. So, I mean, I might have a little bit of a tan here, but I don't have a tan,
Yeah.
so, that tan is right there. The rest of it, white as a ghost. I'm whiter than any ghost I've ever seen, but I don't see them as
So
white.
what you're talking about are epigenetic changes. So
Yes. Oh
there
my
there is
gosh.
there's this connection between the outer and the inner, and I think epigenetics is the one that describes it the best. That's why my
Yes.
method is called the epigenetic seasonal programming method. Like it's based on epigenetics, and what you're describing, it just sounds like a chameleon. Like we are chameleons.
Yeah.
In the winter time, there people dress a certain way. In the summertime, they dress completely different. If you compare me in the winter here compared to the summer there, I mean, we are chameleons. So we have to understand how the body literally transforms in
Yes.
front of our eyes, season by
Absolutely.
season, location by location. That those are epigenetic changes. Now, what I find so interesting is that I have a spirit medium in front of me, and we're talking about the way we dress and the way that we behave. But at the same time, then we very quickly transitioning epigenetic changes, which I believe
Yeah.
it gets into the scientific explanation of mysticism and the way that whatever we can see actually exists. So I want to ask you a question that I'm always very deeply questioned about, and is when we're talking about high frequency vibration,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Are we talking about the sensitory world?
Um,
Are we talking about something in the middle? Are we talking about spiritual world? Because I get it. Like, we have frequencies, but are they from, but we can see them, right? But we can feel them. So
sure.
that just always has been a question that I have.
Sure. One of those sensory things that we get all the time, that people really don't pay attention to, they do, and they see it and they feel it, but they don't understand it. And that's goosebumps. We get goosebumps in our skin. You get them sometimes in weather change. You get them sometimes when someone says something to you. A lot of times people get goosebumps when they hear a certain song or a vibration that comes through. They get these goosebumps in their skin, and they just think that that's a nervous reaction. That is absolutely not a nervous reaction. That's your soul coming through. That's your soul coming through, giving you information. Like every time you hear that favorite song that you love and you get goosebumps every single time, it doesn't make a difference if you've heard that song 1,000 times. You get goosebumps every single time. Why? Because your soul is connecting to that vibration. It's connecting to that sound. It's letting you know that I love this sound and you love this sound and we love this sound together. That's the types of things that comes through. Now, but people have been misguided in this world, unfortunately, by the same people that I'm in this business with. Now, I hate to call it a business because I just don't, because I'm trying to connect with people. I don't call the people that I connect with clients. I don't like to do that because I don't see that. I see them as equals, as family, as friends to me, and that's what I do, and that's how I keep my relationship with them as well. I'm very accessible when people want to get a hold of me. I mean, I go on Facebook and I have a group on there called Spirit Medium Daniel Group, and people ask me questions there all the time. How much does it cost them to do that? Nothing. Because I'm not trying to make $1,000,000, I'm just trying to help 1,000,000 people. But, uh, but people have a miscommunication when this because they are spiritually lazy. They are spiritually gullible in this world, and they think everything that out there is absolutely what's taking place and everything that is true. And that is not absolutely correct. One of the things that I've been teaching recently is how people say, I need to raise my vibrations. I need to raise my vibrations. Well, your soul is as high as it's ever going to get. Your soul's vibration actually had to be lowered in order to be put into a human body. Because if it was at the original vibration that it was, where it came from heaven, from God, your body would tear apart. Your body would explode. It couldn't handle that type of energy. So raising the vibrations of your soul is not going to happen. It can't happen. It's as high as it's going to be. But what you can raise the vibrations of is what you're actually doing is you're clearing out your life, your human side, the side of you that is reactive to everything out that's out in your environment and out in the world. Do I have to listen to politics? No. Do I have to have pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish in my life? No. Do I have to live under control of everybody? No. Do I have to every time I ride down the street and I see an accident on the side of the road, if I can absolutely not do anything physical to help that person, do I have to literally rubberneck the entire time to see what's going on? Is it going to make a change in my life, or is it going to have anything to do with my life? Well, no, I don't have to do that. I can stay away from all the pain and anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish. I can stay away from all the drama in the world. I can stay away from everything out there that is keeping me from getting the true answers in this life that are within my soul. That because of all the distractions in this world, I can keep myself from having to pay attention to all that crap because the only reason these people are in your life is because you allow them to be in your life. If you have negative people in your life, you have them because you allow them to be in your life. Stop allowing them. Stop allowing this stuff and learn to clear your life out, clear your life away from the pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish. Learn to clear yourself from all the drama in the world, internally and externally. Learn to get all of this stuff away from your life so you can get back to the true value in this world, which is you. But that takes time. Like I said before, some people will say, "Oh, if I put some crystals out, or if I put I burn some sage and some cedar, and I get some sacred geometry tattoos, that's gonna be me going to Staples and getting my easy button for life and going click. Oh, I'm healed. Everything's taken care of. Now I don't have to do any of the work." No, you do have to do the work because that's going to take time and that's going to take effort and you can no longer be spiritually lazy in your life. You have to do the work now. And one of the key things, one of the key methods that I say is in doing that is actually doing meditation. Because when you do meditation, when you get into that sacred space that you're in, and the only way that you're going to get into that sacred space that you're in is learning to let go of all those thoughts that are going a million miles an hour in your brain and learning to let that go. If you can do that in that sacred space, then why can't your entire life become a sacred space? Why can't you let go
Hmm.
of all of it all of the time? That is what's going to help us in this world, and that's going to get us where we need to be, again, to learn to listen, trust, and follow through, again, to learn to not listen to power and control telling us that we should hate each other and not connect with each other in this world, and we can get to those places that we need to be in order to fulfill our purpose and live a much easier and simpler way of life in our lives instead of having all this garbage in this world that we don't need because you see the commercials on TV all the time. Oh, you need this car, you need this food, you need this shirt, and you need these pants, and you need this type of sneaker, and you're not going to be socially acceptable unless you have that. Well, sociably acceptable, we were sociably acceptable to each other way before any of that stuff came into play. We can get back to it now, but it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of practice. And it's gonna take a lot of preparation. Again, even with I have to be at a certain place, and I know I have to be there on time. But I have to make preparations for that, and one of the preparations that I had to make, didn't make my life a little bit easier because I got there a little bit later, but, I was out on my motorcycle one time and I saw a cloud right above my neighborhood, and I knew if I didn't get home and get out from under that cloud, it was gonna rain. Again, I'm 4,500 feet up in the elevation here. Those raindrops come down, they are freezing cold. And when you get hit in the face with raindrops, it feels like you're getting hit in the face with a needle and all over your body. I didn't want that, so I tried to get home as quick as I could, and then I ended up getting caught in traffic, and then I got home a little later. But I did avoid it. But all I could think of was, I got to get home. I got to get home. I got to get home, so I can avoid. You know, well, if we could do that throughout our lives, say, you know what? I gotta get certain places. I gotta avoid all this drama. Oh, I gotta get my work done, but if I stand up there in front of the water cooler at work and listen to those people gossiping about what happened over their weekend, I'm never gonna get my work done. That's gonna get me home so that I can get to my family and get to my own self-being so I can get to later, I can get to my safe space in my home so I can do my meditation. It's so much more big picture is what I'm trying to get to people. It's more than
So
just going to one place or another. It's about getting you through your life the best way that you can get there so that you can be the best version of you, not just for yourself, but for everyone else at the same time, hoping to get them at the same state.
so I have like 10 questions. I'm only obviously gonna ask one.
Can ask as
And
many as you
and
want.
and, and I have to be selfish. So essentially that question comes to my head. I believe on praying, reading your Bible. I believe on meditating. I believe on silencing all that crap that is going on in our heads and in the environment and the negative influences.
Yeah,
And I can see the power of meditating to rewire our brain. And I have studied it and I have nothing against it. Like 100%, I'm into it. But this is a thing that I notice. And it's a healthy question that comes in
sure.
me that I want to ask you, which is, okay, we understand the value of growing and working within from the inside out. Like
Yes.
that has been, we can all agree to it. What is the value as also working from the outside in? It is a question because the basis of that question come from there is no separation. It's an illusion
Right.
or perception makes that illusion. And the question is extremely important for me because I take that approach. I say, there's everybody looking at the inside and working from the inside. How many people are looking at the outside and
Sure.
working from the outside? It
Yep.
doesn't mean that I'm a earthbound creature that pays attention to the less important stuff.
Yeah.
It might be, but the question is, if there's no separation, why don't we value both? And that's where I come in. I look at the environment to look at patterns so that I can help people and myself and everybody that wants to look into it improve
Yeah.
their life,
Yeah.
seek their purpose,
Yes.
clear. Again, get away from gossiping, get away from like biological negative reactions that we don't want to feel. Like, but I look at both I do the internal work, but then my work, the one that I provide the universe, the world, humanity with, that is like, here, you want to check this out, is
Sure.
actually looking at the outside so that they can reflect on the inside. Is the other way around.
Right.
So I just find it very contrasting and don't find many people doing that. And I just question the value of it.
Purpose. Purpose, not just the purpose that you have in this world for you to do what you're meant to do so that you can go home and stay home, but the purpose of the outside world and how it's going to affect you. So I need to have a home that I live in to protect me from the elements that are outside. I need to have air conditioning in the summertime to protect me from all the heat that's outside and heat in the wintertime. I need a car that's going to get me from A to B, or in my case, sometimes a motorcycle as well. There are certain things that I'm going to need in this life. There are certain things that I want in my life as well. But in order to provide those things for me, I'm going to have to go out and work. I'm going to have to go out and get a job. I'm going to have to be able to try to do the best I can to save my money for me. Now, there is a difference between needs and wants, and there are things that I want, and there are things that I need, but there are other needs that I don't need. Do I need 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats? No, I don't. do I need to have those 6 cars? So I need a car that's going to get me through my environment. I live in a desert, and it's very hot out here, so I need something, a car that's going to work for me, not just any old car, but something that's going to work for me, for maybe just in case of an emergency. I have to look at the big picture of what I'm purchasing for myself, not just for my want of having it, but my need for having it as well. I need to have my house in an area that's also going to work for me. The house that we lived in prior to this one, I lived in Delaware, and again, it was a good house, but we also had grass to cut out there, and cutting grass in the summertime where there's humidity isn't exactly fun. Again, and then with the elements out there as well. So we made a big change to come out here to Arizona because the Arizona weather is much more better for my health and the issues that I have with my health. So, but we made productive changes that are going to help us in our lives, not just because I need to have 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats, or I need to live in a mansion. I don't need to live in a mansion because how many times am I going to spend time in just one room in my house? I'm going to want to go everywhere, but we hang out more in the kitchen than anything else. But do I need 10 of them to live in? No, I don't. I don't need all these other things that we think we need, and the only reason we think we need them is because society pushes this on us. Society pushes a lot of things on us. Society, unfortunately, pushes models out in the world because they want you're supposed to look a certain way, and you're supposed to be this big around, and so you can wear these types of clothes and that type of thing. They push. You should have Go out and buy this car. We know it's $150,000, but you can afford it, you know? You'll do everything you can do to get that, or you should have this big giant home, even though you're not gonna spend any time in all the rooms, but you should have this big. We get pushed on all the time. We get pushed on that everyone should be working out in the gym, and everybody should be dieting this type of way or dieting that type of way, or they have the perfect gym machine that's gonna get you to where you need so you can have a six-pack ab. Well, I don't have six-pack abs, I have more like a party ball going on here, but, you know, that's not easy for me to take care of as well. Being diabetic, they think, "Oh, you don't have six-pack abs, you could be doing that while diabetic." Well, that's very hard because the medication that I take actually causes fat buildup in my body, so it's counterproductive. It helps me, but it doesn't help me. But a lot of things in this world are counterproductive because we think it's going to help us. But then again, it's only coming in and helping our ego at the same time. The big thing of it is getting away from our ego and knowing that those egotistical things that we think we really need, we don't really need. And getting back to the understanding of what we need to do is be as healthy as we can and to get through our life the best that we can, you know, because there's 2 rules in this world that people really need to pay attention to and follow. Instead of the rules out in the world of telling you you need 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats, you need to follow these 2 rules, and these 2 rules are that are going to help you will help you love everyone else around you more and love yourself even more. And rule number 1 is people die every day. And rule number 2 is you can't change rule number 1. When it's your time to go, it just is. You're going to die. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. But what's important is what you do when you wake up in this world in that baby body and you go until you can't go anymore, until you leave this world from this body. What's important is what you do there. So don't let that little dash on your headstone be the marker. You be the marker in this world and let people remember you for the good person that you can be, that you can absolutely be, that we can all absolutely be. But uh, but yeah, we go out in this world and we see all these things out there and we think, oh, maybe I need to have this and I made to have that. And what you end up having instead of needing is a bunch of debt that you occurred because you didn't listen to your soul. You didn't go by what your soul was trying to tell you to do, what your spiritual guides was telling you to do, what God was trying to tell you to do to get you to learn. But you know, God just sent us out here to learn, and that's what He wants us to do. But again, we're not all good learners. We need to learn to get back to that trust and faith we need to have in ourselves. That we don't need to listen to everyone else in this world. We need to get back to listening to ourselves and learn to know that yeah, you may want everything, but do you really need everything? No, you don't. You get what you need. I do have a we do have a nice home here, and we're happy with this home. I have 1 car. My wife has 1 car. I do have 2 motorcycles, and she has 1. But other than that, I have 8 cats in my house because, we just love cats, and you can never have enough cats in this world.
You
But,
only need one. I'm just kidding.
yeah, yeah, tell that to my other 7. Yeah, we have simplified our lives in this environment that we have, down to the basic necessities of, yes, we have cars, we have a home, we have air conditioning and heating, we have food to put into our bellies at nighttime. We have what we need. There's some other things that I would like, but, do I absolutely need them? No, no, I don't. I What I need to do is I need to have a sense of peace within me. I need to have a sense of peace within me and around me at the same time. And in order to have that peace around me, I have to put myself in a place that I keep that peace around me, that I keep that drama and that anger and pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, and all that stuff away from me. And that takes a lot of time and that takes a lot of effort. I mean, I have family members that I no longer speak to within my family because all they are about is about themselves and about the drama that they want to have in their lives, and they want to try to drag me down in it. And the only reason I had them in my life is because I allowed them to happen. I don't allow it to happen anymore. I've learned to separate myself. As we were talking about separation, I've learned to separate myself and keep myself. I'm not keeping myself in a bubble because I do go out in the world and I do experience the world just like everyone else. Except I do see a lot of dead people, that's for sure, but not something everybody wants to see. It's not as glamorous as you think it is, people. It's just not. Uh, but uh, but that seeing those people does give me a connection with my guides, so that I can get answers not only for myself, but I can get them for other people, and that's what's most important for me. And so even with seasons, again, I have to contend with them as well because I do a show up in where I live in Arizona, it's up in Tucson, and I have to be there this weekend to do a show to give readings for people and help them to figure their lives out, help them to get on the straight and narrow. I give them peace of mind and clarity, but I give them direction is what I do. And I'm not the circus act that's getting everything from your mom and dad so spiritually they can pat you on the back as a ghost. That's not what they do. They don't do that. And if you think they do that, you've been misguided by television and movies. They're here to try to help you to get on a better path on your life so that you can go home and stay home with them in heaven. That's what they're trying to do. Uh, but uh, but again, that comes with that learning, listen, trust, and follow through. But in order for me to get to that show, I have to take care of myself. I have to take care of my well-being. I have to make sure that, we have to check the weather to make sure because, again, I'm living in monsoon season right now, and if it's going to rain heavily, we have to prepare ahead of time so I can get to these places. There's so much more preparation than there is actually doing some things sometimes because we want to be prepared for everything, but you can't be prepared for everything because I don't know if there's going to be traffic where I go to. So it does so you take the time, you take the effort, you make the preparations for yourself. I always make sure I have an extra time to get where I need to be and extra time to come home so that I can come home and do what I do safely throughout my life. And everybody can do that. But
So
takes a lot of time.
it sounds to me that there is value on providing people a framework that
Yes.
allows them to check all those conditions, all those road conditions, the lighting, that not as much the temperature, that's part of the lighting, the
Oh,
social environments.
even at nighttime down here where I live, there's no street lamps. When it's dark. I mean, there's nothing. They actually have. You're going to find this funny. They have not, but maybe they have a law down here that the street lamps that are even around
Mhm.
are not allowed to be that bright. They're not white light
Yeah.
bright. They have to be a kind of
Yeah.
yellowish because they have a law here that
Mhm.
says that people want to be able to do stargazing at
Yeah.
nighttime, and too much light, they can't see it. Now, with me, unfortunately, with my ability that since that has progressed over the years, I no longer see the stars at night. I don't see anything. I see the moon, and I look up in the sky, and I see a blue-black sky with the moon, but then I just see energy and faces and all that stuff, so but that's just
Mm.
me, but yeah, they have unusual laws here that prevent you from doing things as well as, help you to do things, and you have to pay attention to them as well too. Again, you can only go certain, speeds an hour, but you wanna get to where you're going, but, get up earlier if you have to, but, yeah, there's a lot of preparation with what comes through, and where you're going and what you're doing in your life more than just getting up, getting dressed, getting a shower, getting out the house, and running to work. It's more than that. There's more than that it because we don't pay attention to it. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. I want to say to everybody watching that the links down below to contact Daniel, to also to get his book, are right in the description in the comments in this episode. I highly recommend you checking them out. And as always,
It's
like,
right
thank
behind
you
me.
so much, Daniel. Yeah, we're at the end. Is there's one thing you want to leave the audience with, please, this is the time to drop it in. I mean, until this point, I have been extremely impressed and just enjoying every single second of our conversation. And I know that our audience has. So I think that a lot has been said. I don't think there is much left there to be said, but if there is something, this is your time. And we are just wrapping this episode up.
So when you're walking somewhere, anywhere, you're going into a store and you're coming through the parking lot and you see someone who's walking up to you and you don't like the shoes that they have on. You don't like how they're dressed today. Maybe their hair is sticking straight out and you don't like it. And you feel as though you have the need to judge that person. You feel that you're going to say something to this person. Maybe tell them that, well, if you're going to come out in the world, don't you think you should look a little bit better? Well, here's what I want you to do. Before you open your mouth, before you say anything, I want you to think to yourself. I want you to take a self inventory of yourself and think about everything you've been through your entire life. Everything. Because as we should know, as we should all know, we're all going through something. We have all been through something, are going through something now, or probably going to go through something soon in the future. So when you think to yourself and think of all the crap you've been through in your life, knowing that it has not been easy in your life, then I want you to take a look back at that person and say, you know what, maybe they're going through something too. And figure out, you know what, I don't have a right to judge this person. Who am I to judge anybody? I'm just the same as they are because we are all equal. We've all come to the same place as equal people. And then what I want you to do is I want you to bite your tongue and walk away. Or when they come up to you, say hello. Say hi, how are you? How's your day going today? Is there anything that I can help you with? Is there anything that I can do to maybe help your life become better? Maybe I'm walking out of the store and I have a cart and my cart is now empty. Here, you can take my cart and you can go into the store without having to try to find one. Maybe we can help each other just for the reason of just because. That's what I want you to do. To know that everyone in this world has equal value. And we're not going to get back to that understanding that we can take care of each other in this world until we do understand that we are all equal in this world. We are all brothers and sisters. We are all the children of God. Let's get back to that. Let's let go of all this other garbage that we think we have to do because society is telling us to do it. We don't always have to listen to them. We can listen to ourselves. We can listen to our soul. We can learn to listen, trust, and follow through with our soul and what it's trying to guide us into this world so that we can fulfill our purpose, so that we can go home and we can be home together. Once again, that's what I want people to do.
Wow. Yeah, I will double tap on that. that this connection can only exist in our perception. And if you start seeing the person across the street, across the door, in front of you as just a version of yourself, an extension of yourself, then there is a good reason to love yourself, and then show love to yourself, in the exact same way you will do to yourself if you do. So I guess it all starts with valuing our life and knowing that it's not different than the guy across us. And
Correct.
I hope that this conversation has inspired you to do so. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate your time and your wisdom. I hope that
Thank
you
you.
guys had enjoyed this episode. Like I said, again, check out the description if you want to contact me or Daniel, and if you want to get to his book. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next episode. And as always, keeping it seasonal.